Okay, we're live. Sorry about that. I'm back. I'm being interviewed by a friend who's spent his entire life as a modern Orthodox Jew.
Okay, we were discussing the subject of porn. I just have a few more questions on it. What percentage of Jewish men do you think watch porn?
I'm trying to decide whether I think it's smaller or larger than the general population. My sense is that it's larger than the general population. It's a high percentage. Jews tend to be less inhibited about the pursuit of sex, money, power, fame, honor, or the natural passions, because Judaism has such a unpretentious attitude to these things that Jews tend to be very direct and blunt about them and have fewer what's called hang-ups. And so even though Judaism would condemn pornography, my sense is that Jews are much more sexually promiscuous than non-Jewish whites, and certainly more than Orientals, more than Catholics and Protestants. So yeah, my sense is that Jews probably use porn more than non-Jews do, and it seems like every kind of kink you find more Jews proportionally than non-Jews.
So on the same topic, but a little over, the Ashley Madison case recently. Do you think that there would be a higher percentage of Jews per capita involved in that?
Yeah. I think Jews would have fewer compunctions about any type of sex that they want, or any type of money that they want. Like, Jews are much more entitlement. They're just much more morally flexible. So it gives them an advantage in business, gives them an advantage in taking tests or in academic achievement. In my life experience, my perception of reality, Jews are much more likely to cheat in an academic setting or a business setting. And Jews have many wonderful qualities in addition to these more dubious qualities. They're much less likely to commit murder or rape than the average white person. But they, I think they are more likely to cheat in business, more likely to cheat in tests, and more likely to just go after whatever they want with fewer compunctions. So if it's sex, money, power, fame, honor, attention, if they want to achieve political ends or social ends or cultural ends, they will have fewer compunctions about how they go about it than the average non-Jewish white person. Certainly compared to WASPs, Anglo-Saxon Protestants, white people from Northern Europe tend to be much more worried about compunctions than Jews do.
And what about, do you feel that rabbis watch porn?
Oh yeah. I would, my sense is that they watch it less than the average Jew, but on the other hand, from what I've seen and read, it does not seem that rabbis are any less likely to molest kids than, say, plumbers or lawyers or doctors or any other group. So the rabbi is not the holy man in Judaism, as opposed to like the clergy in Christianity. The rabbi may have degrees of holiness, but Judaism's a this worldly religion, and if it's a synagogue rabbi, his priorities are generally keeping his congregation happy. It's not an otherworldly endeavor like the Buddhist monk and the Catholic priest. But I mean, this is complicated. But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I know plenty of rabbis have porn problems and sex problems.
And do you think porn is a gateway to doing worse things?
Yeah, very well can be. Anything like, any sexual outlet. Masturbation is a gateway for doing worse things. Adultery is a gateway for doing worse things. Promiscuity is a gateway for doing worse things. So any time you start letting loose your sexual self outside the bounds of heterosexual marriage, it's a gateway to doing worse things.
I'm a little intrigued when you said adultery is to lead you something to worse. What worse thing than adultery?
Well, how many people have been murdered because of adultery? People kill over sex. Like if you come home, if one were to come home and to find one's wife, in bed with someone else, it's not uncommon that one would kill. Adultery can lead to mixed dancing.
Yes.
Which is a tremendous problem in America today. Once you break those bounds, it becomes much easier to break other moral bounds.
Do you think men are more intelligent than women?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear from psychometric tests that men are, on average, have about 5 IQ points on women. Women are better at coloring within the lines, so they're better students. Women, highly conformist. They very rare that a woman will consciously say or do anything that will be unpopular with a peer group. But if you ask, college professors or teachers, who are your most brilliant students, they're invariably men. So yeah, I mean, women are primarily governed by their emotions, and men have the ability to reason. So you can make an argument to a man, and you can change his life in 2 minutes. Like a man can hear an idea, and it will, he will just forever act differently because of that idea that you introduced him to. It does not operate the same way with women. It's generally pointless to give women advice. Like throughout history, women have been regarded as such a useless burden that families have had to pay men a dowry to take the woman off their hands. So, I mean, in many ways, women are superior to men. I mean, obviously, women can give birth. They're less likely to act out with violence and they're more likely to follow the communal rules and norms than men. They're highly conformist. They're always kind of looking for what's socially appropriate, and so they mouth whatever's cool. They put on their Facebook that stupid shading to show how pro-gay marriage they are. That's anything that's like trendy like that. Women just glomp onto.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, very much.
Do you want to have children if you get married?
Yeah, very much.
Jewish life is very different for married people than singles. Do you think you can handle the change?
Yeah, as long as I don't have to delete my Facebook. I know married people who have Facebook accounts. I mean, I'm not going to be using it to hook up. I'm going to be, monogamous. I've never cheated on a partner. I've never cheated on a relationship. So, when I talk about like sex addiction, I don't mean it in the sense of doing anything illegal. I don't mean it in the sense of cheating. I've never procured the services of a prostitute. I've never paid for, a lap dance. I've never had a lap dance. For me, it was an obsession of the mind, spending too much time thinking about sex. It was just kind of needing sex to feel whole. Being too needy in my relationships because, I need sex or romance or, love and attention and cuddling, to feel whole because I felt so, bereft and empty inside. So I was kind of using sex, love, codependent relationships to, try to shore myself up instead of standing on my own 2 feet. So, there was never a time in my life where I was, chasing, illegal sex or acting as a predator.
Okay, that was a little off topic, but what challenges and advantages or disadvantages do you see to being married in the Jewish community for you?
Well, if you're not married in the Jewish community, you're a freak. Particularly if you've never been married. And if you're a man, it's particularly freaky. If you're a woman who's never been married, it's sad. So it would be an opportunity to be the real deal. As long as I'm not married, I'm not the real deal. I'm playing dress up. I'm deluding myself. Much of conversion to Judaism is a delusion. I think it's been a tremendous advantage for Jews to be able to say, oh, anyone can join our people. They simply, get with the program. But it doesn't really work that way. If you, like 99 people out of 100 who try to convert to Orthodox Judaism don't make it through. And then out of those who do, my sense is that 50% of them fall by the way in 5 years. And then out of those 50% that are still working the program, my sense is that the majority of them are at the absolute dregs of Jewish life. That they're regarded as little better than the beggars who come by. On the other hand, those who do convert tend to have above average levels of intelligence, and I think they historically have been fairly affluent comparatively. So it's a way of bringing new blood, new genes into the people, but only the most intelligent and affluent who can contribute something. It shouldn't generally be something that's dragging the Jewish people down. But conversion to Orthodox Judaism is much more of like something that sounds good, but in real life, it rarely works out.
It really works out?
Rarely.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Very rarely does it work out. And most converts, they don't realize that they are going to be regarded as,
they have a stigma.
They have to prove themselves. That they're very low prestige, and invariably they have delusions. And but many people do. Many people do pull it off. They do convert. They become Orthodox rabbis who are converts. They are married to leading Jews in the community, and nobody, really gives them a hard time. I would say I've been treated according to my merits. There are plenty of Jews who treat me just like a fellow Jew. Absolutely, I count in a minyan. I can go into any synagogue. I can be counted in a minyan. I've been brought into dozens of people's homes for meals. I've been made to feel a part of the group. So it it has a lot to do with the individual. If you're someone who is easily hurt, easily offended, can't deal with being lowest on the totem pole, it's very easy to build up a sense of grievance. Through doing my 12-step work, I have no conscious resentment against anyone, and it's been that way for over 3 years. So, any slights for being a convert, it doesn't. I don't hold on to it. But for other people who do hold on to resentments, it would be a killer, and then that resentment will just intensify their low status and inability to get on in the community.
What qualities do you look for in a wife?
Someone who laughs at my jokes. That sounds trivial, but someone who has a sense of humor is going to be intelligent. So not every intelligent person has a sense of humor, but every person who has a sense of humor is intelligent. So then I think she would also be personality-wise better disposed to dealing with me if she's able to laugh about it. Someone who's not able to laugh at me, laugh at my life, laugh at my choices, laugh at the things I say, it's just not going to be a good fit. So someone that likes to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Do you see women now as potential wives or dates?
Well, whenever I look at a woman, the first thing that goes through my mind is whether or not I want to have sex with her. I just want to admit that. And many of my normal friends who are not addicts, who are men, say the exact same things. Men who have been completely faithful to their wives for more than 30 years, say they have the same thought. But yeah, But I've looked at women as potential wives since my teenage years. It's always been in the in the background.
Well, I say that because of your age. Like at a certain point, you want to have a good time, and then the flip switches. The switch. Say the word for me. The switch flips, and all of a sudden, the biological clock is like you're thinking, okay, fun time is over. I need to settle down with somebody. That's why I asked it that way.
Yeah, but I've had part of me in my head is wanting to settle down with someone from age 18, 19, or 20.
How often would you say you get hit on, but you ignore it?
It happens a fair amount. Like a lot of people comment on how oblivious I am to being hit on. There's only so much space in one's head, and if I spend most of the space in my head to my writing, there's not a lot of space left for the niceties of social interactions. So a woman has to be really obvious before I'll catch on. Though I think I'm becoming more socially appropriate, more socially astute as I've gotten older. But yeah, it happens, and I'm just oblivious.
Are you honestly searching for a 20-something wife?
I'd much prefer a wife in her 20s. Much prefer. I mean, but if I can't get one in her 20s, then the 30s would be fine. But I really don't want, the moldy old peach that the dog has sat on. I want the fresh, ripe peach.
Well, everybody would. I mean,
that's what I like. That's how God made me.
I'm married, and I would like a woman that's 20 years younger, but I'm realistic.
I'm not realistic.
Don't you know that any woman that age who is interested in you has daddy issues and lots of psychological issues that come along with it?
Yeah, so I could get a hot wife who's psychologically dented, or I could get a sane wife who's, the moldy old peach. So yeah, I guess I'd prefer the dented, kind of damaged.
That sounds a little short-sighted, because in the short run, if you have a beautiful young wife, I mean that's the best thing in the world. But your mind will be rot from having to listen to her young drama all the time and just picking at you and driving you crazy.
People say that, but again, I guess maybe I'm a beta male. I've always enjoyed listening to my girlfriends. Like most guys find it annoying, when a woman talks to them, calls them and wants to talk every day. I can just listen for hours. I am so happy. Like, I love a woman just to talk, like my woman. I just love to hear her talk. She can just go on everything under the sun. It just makes me happy. I love talking on the phone to my girlfriend.
You at times portray yourself as a righteous frum Jew. How does that mesh with you having a Tinder account and flirting with women on, let's say, Facebook?
Well, I'm not having sex with anyone. I'm not. Tinder, I met some great women on there. Everyone thinks it's a hookup app, and maybe it does function that way for normal people. But for me, I get on there. The first question I ask is, "What books have you read lately?" And if the woman doesn't read books, I'm not going to carry on a conversation with her. She just doesn't interest me. So all my Tinder conversations have started out about books.
That's where they started, and then what do they lead to?
They've been like books, and then they've led to other conversations. But these are all erudite women. They're not a bunch of floozies. So I haven't.
Are they Jewish?
They're God's children. Maybe they didn't even know it yet. That's their destiny.
How and why do you control your sexuality and hormones?
Well, I do because it was helpful to think of myself as an addict. Now, even if, let's say, it's not true, it's just really helpful for me to think that way, because then you realize that you have to lead a disciplined life. You have to increase your constant contact with God. You have to try to walk in the sunlight of the Spirit. And it just makes everything easier. So I've gone from a life where I was like lusting probably 2 hours a day plus to a life where I'm lusting, probably 10 minutes a day or less. So it's just not as, a big a deal for me as it was 4 years ago, because, I know I have to work a daily program to get that daily reprieve from my addict mind, which wants to kill me, which wants to, send me after crack whores in South Central. So, I'm happy in my program, happy working my program, and it grounds me, and, it helps me overcome my self-destructive impulses, not just in the sexual arena, but in lots of other impulses too.
I've had some conversations with you before, and usually you sound pretty religious. Once in a while, you'll throw out a dirty line like, I miss something or other.
Yeah.
That's dirty.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line? How do you know? How do you decide what to draw the line? What's okay and what's not okay?
To say to a friend?
Yeah.
To a friend, I'll say anything. For me, religiosity isn't denying my humanity. There are some approaches, for instance, to religion and to sexual addiction, say there's no room for lust in your life for anyone but your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, there is zero room for lust. I respect that approach. I'm not at that level yet. Just like when I view life, I find it often useful to view life completely on naturalistic terms without reference to God. And to just see life as competing group interests fighting for their group advantage, and it's not that one group is good and one group is bad any more than one group of lichen is good and another group of lichen is bad, and there's a lichen holocaust at your local pond. That's how the natural world works, and I find that a very useful way. That way I can talk to atheists, I can have very useful and engaging conversations, without reference to God, without references to Torah as the moral map for how life works. So I enjoyed both a completely secular, naturalistic perspective on life, and talking to people on that level, without any reference to God and Torah. And though my dominant means of thinking and speaking is, with reference to God and Torah. But I like both.
Do you think that all flirting is okay?
Well, it depends.
For you.
For me. Oh, oof. Oh, boy. Ouch. Okay, so I do a lot of flirting. And much of it's with women who are older than me, who I do not want to have sex with. It's just it's just like saying, hi, how are you? It just kind of makes the day more pleasant for everyone.
Toying with them, perhaps.
Maybe that's something I have to look at. But yeah, I do engage in a pretty vigorous amount of flirting. So whether or not it's okay, I just got a cop to that. I have a pretty big flirt machine. I got a lot of love to give. Because I'm not having sex, at least I can.
It comes out of your mouth instead of coming out of something else.
Yes, exactly. No, it's progress, not perfection.
Okay, that's all the questions I have for you today.
Excellent. Come again, folks.